family issues. So we have mediation that we offer and, encourage families to sit down and chat. Yeah, it's been a tough time for everybody.
That's just one example of an organisation that RHASS helps and that we would all be lost without.
Yeah, I think that's exactly right. Our support to RSABI is directly to that helpline element of their charitable business.
We don't know exactly how the Highland Show will look in 2021, but I think many people listening to this will be itching to be there, obviously, for many reasons. But one of the reasons I think they'll be itching to see the new members' pavilion. Now, I know this is a podcast, so we can't really show photos, but can you describe it in any way for us to get people to understand what they'll hopefully be seeing next year?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, when I left Ingliston, we had just finished it. We had got handed the keys the day before lockdown. We locked the door and we walked away. And, Bill and I are both wincing as we say that. The day we took the decision to cancel the show, Bill went, I suggested Bill went for a walk and he walked around the new building and I think got even more frustrated. So when I left Ingliston at lockdown, the sort of earth was bare and the building was finished and looked great. When I went back a number of months later, the grass had bedded down, the maintenance team had cut the grass, and the building really found its place in the showground. It sits exactly where the McRobert Pavilion was, with that beautiful view over the main ring, sat beside those mature trees. And it's a building that's been designed to be far more open than the old building and in the round. So there's a terrace right round it, so you can walk around the whole building. You've got southern sun on that element near Ingliston House, and then you've got the vista over the main ring. It's really bright and airy because there's a load of glass in it. We've spent a lot of money and time making sure the acoustics work well. When you walk into that building, there's actually a real sense of entrance and calm. But also, I think everyone who comes in there who's been to the Royal Highland Show just looks around and goes, what a great place to be with your friends and family. And you can see that palpable buzz. To the west side is the bar, and most people who go to the Royal Highland Show, who are members and who've participated in that, will go and lean against the bar, and there's an elbow sort of perched on the bar with pride to say, this is where I want to be. And we are so excited about getting people in there. And there's a real sense of frustration that it was on time, on budget, looking cracking, and not be able to be enjoyed at the show this year. And I think the key for me would be, we want to get people in there soon, and we certainly want to fill it next June. We've designed it for people coming together to share, stories and experiences about rural Scotland.
I would actually challenge anybody not to walk into it and not go, wow, this is something else. It's absolutely everything we wanted it to be, probably and more, actually. It's a hugely flexible event space as well as a members' place to come together during the show. You'll sense my frustration when I say we were looking forward not only just to showcasing it at the show, we were looking forward to hosting a wedding in it in May. We were looking forward to setting it up as a centre for debate and conferences and lectures, and we had a reasonable rollout programme of things.
SAC, NFUS, Scotland Food and Drink, all those organisations we talk about, all wanting to be there.
What a place to have on our doorstep, that we can come and utilise. And actually, to me, that then goes a little bit further than that, because I firmly believe that as a society, or as the society, we have a place. Sorry, we've got some noises off here. I think it's a cow actually at the next door farm. Going back to that whole point about the society and its position, I would love to see the society as being right at the hub of all of the organisations that are stakeholders with us. We've already mentioned RSABI, we've mentioned Scottish Young Farmers Clubs, we've mentioned Scotland Food and Drink, for example. It would be fantastic if out of all of this, a real desire for everybody to realise that being with a common purpose, and we don't all have to have exactly the same purpose, but that whole common purpose of making sure that what happens in rural Scotland and in agriculture in rural Scotland continues to move forward and continues to add value.
Yeah, I think that coming together for people, a number of people have said, be careful the first show out the box when lockdown releases, because it's going to be an absolute belter.
We certainly hope it will be. We're absolutely focused on that at the moment as being our primary focus. The events opportunities towards the end of the year are diminishing every time we have a pushback on phase 3 or 4 or whatever. But yeah, so the focus is very much on 2021 show and beyond. It's very easy to focus on something near, but from the society's point of view and from the show point of view, and that support that we need, we've got to look further ahead. 2022 is the 200th anniversary of that first show back in Queensberry House Gardens in 1822. We still are planning to hold the Golden Shears World Shearing Championships that year as well. So if there's ever going to be a big show, that's the one. And let's hope that 2021 gives us that springboard to leap forward and continue the great work that the Society does and that bringing together of everybody.
Absolutely. And meantime, so Alan, I know there are many uncertains, but as you say, you're I forget the word you used, but you're certainly forging ahead with vigour towards 2021. It can't be easy. There must be frustrations. But can you maybe give us a bit more detail on what you're kind of currently talking about?
Yeah, so, there are a lot of scenarios out there. Scottish Government and Scottish Enterprise have done some scenario planning, and we've spent a lot of time as a team, whether it be the staff team or the board, looking at those. What can that help with? What can it challenge? What does it make more difficult? Bill's been really clear that we are absolutely committed to delivering a Royal Highland Show within the guidelines, within whatever restrictions happen. There's some people that are chatting there to say the Royal Highland Show will not happen because the Society aren't going to invest in it. Absolute nonsense. We will continue to do everything in our power, everything with the support of the members, to put on the Royal Highland Show next year, the year after, and for many years after that. We'll be looking at whether there's restrictions on tickets to be only one day rather than any day, so we can track and trace. We'll move more digital. We might have some isolation areas and some checking. We're engaging with Events Scotland and the whole events industry to check about how you make events as safe as possible right the way through. We're looking at different options for segregation of certain areas of the show. Ultimately, not everybody wants to spend time, in certain parts of the show. Some people love going to the equestrian area, but don't like going to the livestock area. So we'll work on all of those. You talked about the frustration. The frustration is we just don't know, and we need to spend time usefully making sure that those plans are robust. So, we might have to delay some announcements because actually we don't know the format of the competitions because there'll still be restrictions. But what we'll do, and what we promise to do, is keep talking to our members, keep talking to our trade stands and our stand holders and our stakeholders to make sure they're part of that. Because the one thing for anyone is that we provide the framework and we provide the site and we provide the buzz, but it's about those people that you've spoken to over the last 14 weeks, Anna, that make the show. And we need them all to be there next year and the year after. So I think we'll be doing everything we can. We might have to do things differently, as we have over the last few months, and we just ask for people's help with that. And if you've got an idea that how you could do something different, don't be scared to come forward. Just don't come forward in May, because planning of the Royal Highland Show for 2021 is already well underway. There's lots of work happening, and actually there's been a little silver lining to the cloud of COVID. Is it's actually allowed us internally in the Society to change some of the systems, IT and programs that we use onto new systems, because normally the gap between shows is so tight to have that work done. And so there are benefits that will come. We're moving more online than we've been in the past. And that's hopefully a signal for everyone that we are absolutely serious, committed and heartfelt intent on delivering next year's Royal Highland Show.
Just to pick up on that, I think the frustration we've got at the moment is the uncertainty. Nobody likes uncertainty. We as agricultural people are used to it, I guess, because I was likening it to sending grain away without knowing what you're going to get paid for it. So, we're used to that in some respects, but it doesn't help to solve the frustration or ease the frustration that brings. The uncertainty means that we're going to have to spend a lot of time and money to see what format and what shape it might take, but within the guidelines. And because we don't know what the guidelines are likely to be, you can see the dilemma that we're in. But we will move heaven and earth to do something. There is no doubt about that. And from the Society's point of view, I think The other thing perhaps to mention is that in all of these crisis situations, the pandemic crisis, for example, that we're in at the moment, and there have been, the 2008 financial crash and affected a lot of businesses, a lot of people. That's going to affect us. But what it's actually made us do is look at ourselves quite closely and quite sharply and put into focus what we can do better. So, on the one hand, a bit of realism. On the other hand, we have to remain optimistic, and we have to remain enthusiastic, and we have to remain forward-looking. The guys in the Tontine Tavern in 1784 were looking forward. The board of directors from 2020 into 2021 are looking forward. So I think it's pretty much the same.
And what's encouraging for me is that, unlike the last time we all chatted, which was virtually, today I can see the whites of your eyes and I can tell how determined you both are. So that's given me heart, and I'm really looking forward to 2021 as a result. I'd like to thank you both for today, but also for all of these 14 episodes. We have thoroughly enjoyed working with RHASS. You've been amazing to work with, and you've helped us to uncover some of the most passionate and enthusiastic voices among Scottish agriculture who we've heard from across the last 14 episodes. So thank you very much for supporting OnFARM, the podcast. And I imagine the two of you have got many people that you'd like to thank publicly for having supported the society and you as individuals throughout this process. So, Alan, the floor is yours.
I could come up with an Oscar-style speech where I just list, everyone off. But no, I mean, the OnFARM... I wouldn't cry. I wouldn't start sobbing. That was the first pod. I think the OnFARM team have been brilliant. Anna, you, Monty and Dave. Dave's guided us behind the scenes. You've done a great job of making our incoherent ramblings sound a lot better. Katrina Barclay's done a really good job of pulling content together. For me, the staff team throughout this have been brilliant, but it's the community, it's the members, it's the trade stand holders, it's the sponsors, it's everyone who shows livestock. And that support, genuinely, we've had some dark days in the last few months. That support has been real, committed and regular, and for that I'm hugely grateful, and hopefully we can repay that to all of them. So yeah, we've had a good spell, and keep getting involved. I've since day one in the society, it is a membership organisation, and the most buzz I get is out of people coming up with ideas. So thank you for those who do, and please thank you in advance for those who will come up with new ideas for us.
I would just like to totally reiterate Alan's comments there. We've been humbled and heartened by all the messages of support that we've had. First and foremost from our membership, no question. We're true to our roots as a membership organisation. Without those members, we would not be the organisation that we are at the moment. There's no question about that. Alan's obviously touched on all of those stakeholders that surround us and all those people who interact with us, particularly over showtime. The continued support from our exhibitors and our trade stand holders and sponsors. We must mention RBS in specific terms because of their 40-year plus support now of the show and the society. From my point of view, I would like to. My director board have been tremendous through all of this. A really tough task in trying to help guide the society through a difficult time, and support Alan and the team who are doing a great job back at Ingleston House, but they've not been back at Ingleston House. They've been all over the place. Those have been working at home. I'd like to thank you guys, because I was not a podcast listener before this all started. And I guess what it's done, it's actually opened up another avenue for people to understand what we do. You've I think, done a great job in sort of portraying lots of different aspects of what the society touches and gets involved in. I particularly didn't enjoy the first one quite so much because that got a slightly raw feeling back to the cancellation of the show, which I guess is where we all started with this. But I really enjoyed walking around with Monty last week. The best moment of that, and thank Monty for his time. And I've known Monty for a long time, obviously local to here with Dalkey's show, etc. He followed me as chairman at Dalkey's show. Was our discussion about the painting of the livestock, and how painters of those days had poetic license.
Isn't it quite peculiar how stock were painted in those days? When people like, Catherine McGregor or the Scottish farmer photographers, etc., make such an effort now to capture the exact likeness of an animal.
Well, you're assuming that's the case, But of course, we weren't around in 1840 to know if that's exactly what it looked like or not.